There is a village in Okinawa, Japan, where the elders gather each morning under the shade of old trees. They move slowly. They speak with intention. And almost universally, their breakfast includes deep-colored berries, mixed with local grains, eaten in the first quiet hour of the day. This is not coincidence. The blueberry is, without question, one of the most well-studied fruits in the science of aging. And the reason comes down to a single, extraordinary compound, anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are the molecules responsible for the blueberry's deep, jewel-like color. But their role inside the human brain is far more significant than their appearance suggests. Research published in the Annals of Neurology found that women who consumed blueberries regularly experienced cognitive aging that was, on average, 2.5 years slower than those who did not. 2.5 years. Simply from a handful of berries. What anthocyanins do is this: they cross the blood-brain barrier, a remarkable biological boundary that most substances cannot pass, and once inside, they reduce inflammation between nerve cells, improve communication pathways, and help the brain clear out a protein called beta amyloid. That protein, when it accumulates, is one of the markers most closely associated with Alzheimer's disease. Consider the story of a woman named Eleanor. Eleanor was 73 years old when she began to notice what she called the fog. Words slipped away mid-sentence. Names she had known for decades flickered at the edge of recall and then vanished. She was frightened. And she was proud enough to be embarrassed by her fear. Her physician suggested no dramatic intervention. Instead, she recommended small, consistent changes. One of them was adding a half cup of blueberries to Eleanor's breakfast every morning. 6 months later, Eleanor noticed something subtle but undeniable. The fog had not entirely lifted. Age does not retreat so easily, but it had thinned. Her focus sharpened. Her recall, while imperfect, felt more reliable. And her mood, the quiet, steady satisfaction of feeling more like herself, had quietly returned. This is the power of consistency. Not a cure. Not a miracle. But a daily act of care that accumulates into something meaningful. For brain health. For memory. For the simple joy of being present in your own life. Begin with blueberries. Here is a truth that medicine has come to understand only in recent decades. The heart does not age all at once. It ages in inches. In the slow stiffening of arterial walls. In the quiet rise of blood pressure that begins in the 40s and climbs through the 50s and 60s. In the gradual narrowing of the vessels that carry life to every organ in the body. And yet, this process is not inevitable. It is, in significant part, a response to what we eat. The avocado is not technically a vegetable. It is a fruit. A fruit packed with monounsaturated fats, the same category of fat found in olive oil, celebrated across the Mediterranean for millennia. These fats do something remarkable in the cardiovascular system. They lower LDL cholesterol, the harmful kind, while preserving HDL cholesterol, the protective kind. They reduce arterial inflammation. And they support the elasticity of the blood vessels that deliver oxygen to your heart, your brain, and every living tissue in between. But the avocado's most underappreciated gift may be its potassium content. A single avocado contains more potassium than a banana. And potassium is the body's great balancer. It counters the damaging effects of sodium, relaxes blood vessel walls, and reduces the mechanical pressure on the heart with every beat. Research from the American Heart Association has shown that adequate potassium intake is associated with a significantly reduced risk of stroke, one of the most feared events in life after 60. Think of a man named George. 75 years old. A retired schoolteacher. A man who had eaten well by most standards, or so he believed. But his blood pressure had climbed. His doctor spoke to him in the careful language physicians use when they are concerned. George made changes. Not dramatic ones. He replaced the processed crackers he ate each afternoon with half an avocado on whole grain bread. That was the beginning. Within 4 months, his blood pressure readings improved noticeably. His physician, who had been prepared to increase his medication, paused instead. The avocado, humble and green, had made a quiet difference. For heart health. For circulation. For the strength to walk, climb stairs, garden, and live actively, this fruit belongs on your plate. For thousands of years, across Persian medicine, ancient Greek tradition, and Ayurvedic practice, the pomegranate was considered a symbol of longevity. Healers prescribed it. Poets wrote of it. Kings grew it in their gardens. They did not know the science, but they knew the effect. Modern researchers have since identified what those ancient healers observed intuitively. The pomegranate is extraordinarily rich in polyphenol, specifically a compound called punicalagin, found almost exclusively in pomegranates, which the body converts into a molecule called urolithin A. Urolithin A, according to research published in Nature Medicine, has a remarkable effect on the mitochondria, the tiny energy-producing structures inside every cell. It helps clear out damaged mitochondria and encourages the growth of healthy new ones. In practical terms, this means more cellular energy, reduced inflammation, and improved muscle endurance. For a person over 60, this is profoundly significant. Because it is not simply about how long we live. It is about how well we move through the years we have. The pomegranate also supports cardiovascular health directly. Its antioxidants help relax blood vessels, improving the flow of blood throughout the body. Studies have shown measurable improvements in artery function among people who consume pomegranate juice or seeds regularly over 3 months. Think of Dorothy, 80 years old. A woman who had always prided herself on her independence. But her joints had grown stiff. Her mornings, once energetic, now began with a kind of reluctant negotiation with her own body. A friend told her about pomegranates. Dorothy was skeptical. She had tried many things. But she was also pragmatic. She began adding fresh pomegranate seeds to her morning yogurt. 2 months passed. 3. And then one morning, Dorothy rose from bed and realized she had not paused at the stairs. She had simply climbed them. It was a small thing. To anyone watching, it would have seemed unremarkable. But to Dorothy, it felt like reclaiming something precious. This fruit, ancient, jeweled, and extraordinary, belongs in the story of your renewal. There is an old saying among traditional healers in tropical cultures. When the stomach is well, everything is well. Modern gastroenterology has proven them right. The gut is now understood to be far more than a digestive organ. It is an immune headquarters. It is a communication center for the nervous system. It produces neurotransmitters. It regulates inflammation throughout the entire body. And after 60, the gut's efficiency quietly declines, leading to bloating, sluggish digestion, poor nutrient absorption, and a weakened immune response. Enter the papaya. This tropical fruit contains a natural enzyme called papain, a compound so effective at breaking down proteins that it is used in medical-grade wound care. Inside the digestive tract, papain works with remarkable gentleness, easing the breakdown of food and reducing the discomfort that so many seniors endure after meals. But the papaya's gifts extend well beyond digestion. A single cup of fresh papaya provides more than 100% of the recommended daily intake of vitamin C. For a senior's immune system, which grows less vigilant with age, this is a meaningful reinforcement. Vitamin C stimulates the production of white blood cells, protects existing immune cells from oxidative damage, and supports the skin barrier that keeps pathogens at bay. The papaya also contains beta-carotene and lycopene, antioxidants that protect cells from the chronic inflammation linked to arthritis, heart disease, and cognitive decline. Consider Margaret, 76 years old. A woman who had struggled for years with digestive discomfort after meals, bloating, heaviness, the kind of low-grade misery that wears on a person quietly. She had tried remedies. She had adjusted her diet in various ways. But nothing felt sustainable. Her neighbor suggested papaya. Nothing dramatic. Just a small bowl after lunch. Within 3 weeks, Margaret noticed the bloating had eased. Within 6 weeks, she told her daughter she felt lighter, not just physically, but in spirit. The way small daily discomforts, when finally resolved, lift a weight we had grown so accustomed to that we had forgotten it was there. For gut health, immune strength, and the quiet restoration of daily comfort, the papaya is a gift worth accepting. And now we arrive at the fifth fruit. The most familiar. The most overlooked. The one hiding in plain sight. The apple. There is an old English proverb, so old that its origins are lost to history, that says, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." It was repeated for generations as folk wisdom. A pleasant saying. A gentle encouragement toward good habits. But what modern nutrition science has uncovered about the apple is nothing short of remarkable. The apple contains a fiber called pectin. And pectin, unlike many dietary fibers, functions as a prebiotic, meaning it feeds the beneficial bacteria in the gut microbiome. A thriving gut microbiome, as researchers now understand, does not merely improve digestion. It reduces systemic inflammation, strengthens the immune system, influences mood through the gut-brain axis, and plays a significant role in blood sugar regulation. For seniors, this last point is critical. After 60, the body's ability to process glucose becomes less efficient. Insulin sensitivity declines. The risk of type 2 diabetes, and its attendant complications, cardiovascular disease, kidney damage, nerve damage, increases with each passing decade. The pectin in apples slows the release of sugars into the bloodstream. It prevents the sharp spikes and crashes that destabilize energy, mood, and metabolic health. It provides the kind of slow, steady fuel that the aging body needs. The apple also contains quercetin, a polyphenol with strong anti-inflammatory properties, and catechins, associated with improved heart function and reduced cancer risk in long-term population studies. Think of Henry. 82 years old. A man who had been active all his life, walking, gardening, playing with his grandchildren, until the inflammation in his joints began to slow him down. His knees ached. His hands stiffened in the morning. He was not incapacitated, but he was diminished. Rather than simply adding medication, Henry made a small commitment, 1 apple a day. Every afternoon, at 3 o'clock, as regular as a habit can be. Over 3 months, his inflammation markers, measured at a routine blood test, had improved. His digestion was better. His energy, he told his wife, felt more even. Less of the afternoon slump he had grown to dread. The apple had done what it has always quietly done. Nourished. Steadied. Protected. No fanfare. No drama. Just the patient, reliable work of a humble fruit. Now that we have explored the science and the stories, let us speak plainly about how to bring these 5 fruits into your daily life. Because wisdom without practice remains only theory. The first principle: begin small. You do not need to overhaul your diet in a single week. Choose 1 fruit from this list. Just 1. Add it to 1 meal, for 2 weeks. Let the habit form before you expand it. The brain resists dramatic change, but it welcomes small, consistent additions beautifully. The second principle: prioritize color and freshness. Whenever possible, choose fresh or frozen whole fruits over juices. Juices, even natural ones, concentrate the sugars while removing the fiber. It is the fiber, in most cases, that delivers the deepest health benefits. A handful of blueberries will always serve you better than a glass of blueberry juice. The third principle: pair strategically. Avocado with leafy greens amplifies the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Pomegranate seeds on Greek yogurt create a synergy between polyphenol and beneficial bacteria. Apples with a small amount of nut butter slow the sugar release even further while adding protein and healthy fat. These combinations are not accidents. They are the quiet art of eating wisely. The fourth principle: think of consistency, not perfection. The Blue Zone elders did not eat every perfect food every single day. What they achieved was consistency over decades. The cumulative effect of good choices, repeated with patience, is where longevity is built. Miss a day. Miss a week. Then return, without guilt, to the practice. The fifth principle: share the table. Perhaps the most underappreciated finding from the Blue Zone research is this: The people who lived longest did not eat alone. They shared meals. They prepared food together. The social act of eating, the conversation, the laughter, the unhurried presence of people we love, is itself a form of medicine that no fruit can fully replace. Bring these foods to the table you share with others, and let both the nourishment and the company do their work. There is a philosopher named Epictetus who lived nearly 2,000 years ago. He was born a slave. He was eventually freed. And he spent the rest of his long life teaching that the quality of any life is determined not by circumstance, but by the daily choices we make within our circumstances. He wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." We cannot choose our genetics. We cannot reverse the years that have already passed. We cannot negotiate with time. But we can choose, every morning, what we place on our plate. We can choose to care for this body that has carried us through decades of joy and loss and love and learning. That is not a small thing. That is an act of profound respect, for yourself, for the people who love you, and for all the life that remains ahead. These 5 fruits, the blueberry, the avocado, the pomegranate, the papaya, and the apple, are not miracle cures. They will not undo damage overnight. They will not stop time. But they will, quietly and faithfully, help protect your brain from the fog of forgetting. They will support the heart that has beaten without pause for 60, 70, 80 years or more. They will reduce the inflammation that steals mobility and energy. They will strengthen the immune system that guards your health every single day. And perhaps most importantly, they will remind you of something essential. That the body, your body, is worth tending. Not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. And it still has work to do. We began this journey in a kitchen. In the memory of someone wise moving through the quiet of an early morning, preparing something nourishing for the people they loved. That wisdom is not lost. It lives in you. It lives in every conscious choice you make to care for your health, not out of fear, but out of respect. Before we close, we would like to leave you with one question. Not a test. Not a challenge. Simply a question to sit with. If you could give your younger self one piece of daily wisdom, one simple habit that you now understand makes a profound difference over time, what would it be? We would love to hear your answer in the comments below. Because this community, this gathering of lives richly lived, holds more wisdom than any research paper could contain. Your stories matter. Your experience is irreplaceable. And you, at whatever age you find yourself today, are still writing chapters worth reading. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this conversation added something to your day, please consider sharing it with someone you love. And if you would like to continue this journey together, exploring the science, the stories, and the quiet art of living well, we welcome you to subscribe and stay close. Until next time, take good care. Do you remember the kitchen of your childhood home? The way it smelled in the morning. The quiet sounds of someone moving around before the rest of the world woke up. A parent. A grandparent. Someone who seemed to know, without explanation, how to take care of everyone. There is a kind of wisdom that lives in that memory. A wisdom that was never written in a textbook. It was carried in habits. In rituals. In the simple, daily choices that people made, not because science told them to, but because life had taught them well. And here is something remarkable. Modern science is now catching up to what those wise, long-lived people already understood. The researchers are discovering that some of the most powerful tools for a longer, sharper, more energetic life are not found in a pharmacy. They are not locked behind a prescription pad. They are found in nature. In color. In sweetness. In the honest simplicity of a piece of fruit. But here is the part that most people miss. Not all fruits are created equal. Especially after the age of 60. The body changes. The needs shift. And certain fruits, just 5, in fact, carry compounds so specifically suited to the aging body that eating them daily can meaningfully alter the course of your health. This is not a list of superfoods designed to impress you. This is a careful, science-rooted, story-driven guide, written with deep respect for every year you have lived and every year you still intend to claim. Stay with us until the very end. Because the fifth fruit on this list is perhaps the most surprising, the most underestimated, and for those over 60, potentially the most important of all. Let us begin. Before we speak about fruits, we must first speak about time. There are communities on this earth where people routinely live to 90, 100, even beyond. Researchers call these places blue zones. They exist in Okinawa, Japan, in Sardinia, Italy, in the Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica, in Loma Linda, California. Dan Buettner and his team at National Geographic spent years studying these populations. And what they found was both astonishing and deeply reassuring. The people in these communities were not extraordinary. They did not have access to miracle supplements or cutting-edge therapies. What they had was remarkably ordinary: daily movement, strong community, a sense of purpose, and a plant-rich diet built around whole, natural foods. Fruit was central to nearly every blue zone table. Now, why does this matter to science? Because the human body, after 60, undergoes specific biological changes that alter how it processes inflammation, how efficiently it absorbs nutrients, and how effectively the brain clears out cellular waste. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have studied how oxidative stress, essentially the internal rusting of our cells, accelerates after the age of 50. Every decade, if left unchecked, this process chips away at heart tissue, brain cells, and the delicate lining of blood vessels. But here is the profound discovery. Certain plant compounds, polyphenol, flavonoids, anthocyanins, act as internal firefighters. They neutralize the harmful molecules that cause this cellular rust. And 5 fruits, in particular, contain these compounds in concentrations specifically beneficial to the aging body. Think of it this way. Your body is a long, extraordinary story. And what you eat every day is the ink with which the next chapter is written. Let us now explore, one by one, the 5 fruits that belong in that story.